Hello, welcome to this weather update. I decided to do one now. It's about 10:30 because I think we have enough model information now. But before I even talk about Florence, we have to talk about the weather in our area today. We've been dealing with some flash flooding and heavy rainfall across the area. And yes, we do have a high surf advisory in effect, a flash flood watch, and there was some warnings earlier, and a small craft advisory because we're going to start to see some of the swells from Florence, probably still coming starting tomorrow. But first, let's go and look at the rainfall reports because there are some areas that got some heavy rain today. We'll just focus on Long Island because there are some areas that really got some heavy rain that I want. Actually, we're going to take make this a little larger here. Maybe not that large, but to show you the rainfall on Long Island and in Connecticut too. One area in Middlesex County, Connecticut got 2.44 inches, but it's even worse on Long Island. In Nassau County, there was a location around Muttontown, 1 mile west-northwest of Muttontown, that got 2.04 inches of rain. Westbury just got 0.88, and Belrose got 1.58 inches of rain. But the highest number, North Shore, Central Suffolk, this was an area that really got dumped on today. 1 mile west of the Sunken Meadow Park, I guess that would be like Fort Salonga, 3.17 inches of rain. That's 3.17 inches of rain. And again, on the North Shore of Suffolk County there, Port Jefferson Station, 2.98 inches of rain. In Greenlawn, they got 2.20 inches of rain. And in Fort Salonga, 1.24 inches of rain. So this is Fort Salonga, and this is so just over that short distance, just east of there, right around Sunken Meadow Park. That's the highest number, 3.17 inches. I'm not going to read to you these lower amounts, and so that's what happened today with the rain, and it was quite a bit of rain that fell. And that's why we have these flood watches and flood warnings that were issued because of it. And again, it's because of these really high dew points. We have a stalled front over the area. And I want to actually look at some of the current conditions here. You can see 71 degrees, the dew point 71. So we've got dew points pretty much in the 70s all day long, mid-70s. So very humid, muggy air. Luckily it didn't get that hot because it was mostly cloudy the whole day. So the highs were generally in the 70s. All right, we do have storm reports too, so I want to read these too as well. There were some flash floods in Connecticut, in New London. Streets closed due to flooding in New London. Flash flood also in New London, in Nantucket, and flash flood in New London. So New London and New Haven got some flash floods. And then on Long Island, these are the ones that I really want to talk about. A flash flood at 1 mile east-southeast of Stony Brook, and it was a house flooding in resulting in electrical issues at 2 homes on Martingale Street. And then also in near South Setauket, there was a car submerged in water with a driver inside vehicle at Edmund D. Pellegro Road. And this was a flash flood. So no mention of this on News 12. They did not cover this at all. They completely missed the boat again, of course. What do you expect? Because they don't have any reporters working. They can't cover breaking news. Altice is ruined them pretty much, but this is what's really happened today out there in Suffolk County. So it was a really big mess and a lot of problems there as a result of that, and this is again what we're dealing with. So let's go and look at the current conditions for the NHC. Let's go to the NHC's website and look at take a look and see what's going on. We've got a lot of activity going on here. Wow. We've got 4 storms and a disturbance that very well may form into something. All right. I'm going to get these over with. Tropical Storm Isaac moving at 60 miles. It's 60-mile-an-hour wind, so it's weakened. Minimum central pressure 1,003, but it's going to affect these islands right here. Then we have Hurricane Helene, which is weakened to a Category 1, maximum sustained winds 85 miles an hour, minimum central pressure 980 millibars. Its movement is north at 14 miles an hour. That's not going to bother anybody. Then we have Subtropical Storm Joyce, which is it's a subtropical storm, so it's like one of those hybrids. Weird for something to form that far north, but again, you got that warm water. Maximum sustained winds 45 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure 1,006 millibars, and its movement is southwest at 6 miles an hour. This is not really, this is going to stay out to sea. And then we have this. This could be a new system that could wind up impacting the Gulf. and this could wind up being a hurricane or a tropical storm. So confidence is very high this is going to form into something, and the miles have been indicating that. And of course, we have Hurricane Florence, a Category 3, and the maximum sustained winds are 115 miles an hour, and the minimum central pressure is 956 millibars. So let's go and look at the forecast map for Florence, and you can see here that they have hurricane warnings now in effect for most of North Carolina and South Carolina. Are probably going to be issued. And this thing is moving northwest at 16 miles an hour, and it's grown in size. That's the thing. So I want to read to you the public advisory on this. We have a public advisory that we're going to read to you here. I'm just going to read the discussion for you because we read read that other thing earlier. I just want to get to the discussion here. At 8 p.m., the center of Hurricane Florence is located near latitude 31.5 north, longitude 73.2 west. Florence is moving toward the northwest at 16 miles an hour, and this general motion, accompanied by a gradual decrease in forward speed, is expected to continue through Saturday. On the forecast track, the center of Florence will move over the southwestern Atlantic Ocean near Bermuda and the Bahamas tonight and approach the coast of North Carolina or South Carolina in the hurricane warning area on Thursday and Friday, and move slowly near the coastline through Thursday. Reports from Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate the maximum sustained winds have decreased to near 115 miles an hour, with higher gusts. Florence is now a Category 3 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Some fluctuations in strength are possible through Thursday morning. Although slow weakening is expected to begin by late Thursday, Florence is forecast to be an extremely dangerous major hurricane when it nears the U.S. coast late Thursday into Friday. Hurricane force winds extend outward up to 70 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds now extend outward up to 195 miles from the center. The minimum central pressure extrapolated by the Hurricane Hunter aircraft is 956 millibars, or 28.23 inches. So Florence is a very large storm, and actually before I get to that, I want to go and look at the satellite imagery from Florence. So we're going to look at this on the satellite. Actually looking a little more ragged on the satellite. I'm surprised. Luckily, maybe we're getting some miraculous intervention here. It looks like maybe it suggested a little dry air or whatever. But this is a huge storm, and you can see it's nearing. You can see the outer bands are going to start affecting the outer banks probably early Thursday morning, and the eye wall will start. Well, you'll see. We'll get to the models, but here you go. Here is Florence, and it is a huge storm. Huge storm indeed on this satellite. And in fact, I want to actually look at it on a couple of satellites here. Let's look at the natural color loop. All right, so here's the natural color loop. You can see still got a little more. Oh, that's not Florence. Oops. My mistake. This is Florence. All right, so here's Florence here, and again, look at that. Look at that form there. And the storm is. Look at how huge it is too. It's a big storm. 200 miles from the eye. Tropical storm force winds extend outward. So this is a huge storm in area, and you can see that stall front over us. But this is a huge storm in area, and again, we'll look at it here on this again. But you can see here, it does look like it's getting a little more ragged. But I think it could I still think it's going to strengthen. It could wind up strengthening before it gets to the coast. It's a possibility. I'm surprised that it's weakened. It's divine intervention that this thing has not gotten to be a Category 5, because it really looked like it was going to become a Category 5. But anyway, let's go and look at the models. We're going to go and look at we'll change the region to the southeast United States, and we will take a look at the 18Z GFS run for Hurricane Florence. And you can see here it impacts the outer banks, start getting impacted by the eye wall areas and the hurricane force winds. Probably not so much the outer banks, the barrier. The outer banks might be just north of it. They're going to escape the worst of it because it's going further south. But generally, the hurricane force winds are going to start moving onshore probably Thursday afternoon starting. And then the eye wall, as we go into Thursday night around 7, 8 o'clock, the eye wall is going to arrive. And that is going to bring some of the really devastating winds And we'll look at, of course, look at the wind field. But you see, it tracks it right. It tracks it inland, and then it tracks it along the coast. So that is the 18Z run. So what happens is it winds up tracking it inland just a little bit, and then right along the coast, and very slowly. See how long it's going to take. It's going to take all day Friday for this thing to move through North Carolina into Saturday, and then it moves into South Carolina. And there's going to be a lot of heavy rain in this area, and that is a real concern. So we're going to look at the wind field, and this is, again, the GFS. Let's go to the wind field here, and we'll move it back to Thursday. You can see that wind field. See, look at it get a little darker right before it moves in. That's why I'm thinking it's going to strengthen a little bit before it hits. And this belt right here is winds over 100 miles an hour. So this belt is going to move onshore come late Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening. And it's going to affect this whole area right here along the coast, so the North Carolina coast. The Outer Banks, I think, are right over here. They might, but part of the Outer Banks is going to be affected. But looks like the worst of it, again, looks around that Wilmington area, right around there. And then it's going to move inland, and Raleigh is going to be affected by the strong winds, too, for sure. And it's going to start to weaken once it gets inland. The winds will come down. And that's the good news, is by Friday evening, it looks like that it's just a minimal hurricane, maybe Category 1, with the winds maybe max sustained winds 75 or 80 miles an hour. It's still bad, though, because it's going to be sitting over this area. And then it weakens further as it moves into interior South Carolina, and pretty much loses most of its tropical characteristics by Saturday night, and then just dissipates almost completely by Sunday. So that is what the GFS has. Actually, I want to look at the 24-hour rainfall because I'm very concerned about this. There's going to be some flooding, and this scale only goes up to the yellows, by the way, so keep that in mind. You can see this whole area here in South Carolina, North Carolina, I think it's going to see 2 feet of rain at least. And then as it moves in, you can see this whole area here is going to get at least 20 inches of rain into this whole area here in North Carolina and parts of South Carolina, and then it kind of just dissipates. So that's the GFS. Now we're going to look at the NAM. I'm not even going to bother with Canadian because the Canadian is not very accurate. We're going to look at the NAM now and see what the NAM has. We'll go to the NAM 12 kilometer, and here is the NAM track, and again it approaches. This is the 0Z run of the NAM, so this is the latest run of the NAM. I was able to get it. That's why I wanted to wait, so I could at least get at least one of the newer model runs in. I wanted to wait until later in the evening to get this. So you can see the NAM actually keeps this thing offshore. You see it has it moving very slowly, literally, and then the eye wall is lashing the coast late Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. And it takes it, it looks like it's taking it, a similar sea, it takes it inland right there, and then it takes it a little more south, and actually the NAM is, yeah, the NAM keeps it a little closer to the water, which may mean it may retain a little more energy. Let's look at the wind field with the NAM. Alright, so that wind field here is the wind field again. The wind field, and again, the wind field doesn't go past this point. So figure winds close to 100 miles an hour as it lashes the coast there of North Carolina and starts affecting South Carolina. But I think North Carolina is going to get the brunt of this. South Carolina is going to get hit, but I think this part of North Carolina is going to get the brunt of it right around Wilmington. That's where the eye is forecast to move over, and then as it moves in Friday, it does weaken by Friday to a tropical storm, and then you still have some strong winds though here. This is more due to a gradient than anything else between this low and the high to the north. But again, the wind is going to be bad, but wind is going to be bad at the coast, and then inland they're going to have to deal with all these heavy rains. And the next thing I want to see is, all right, what we have is a total accumulated precip, so we'll go with that on this. And you can see, look at the yellow, yeah, look at that. There's the yellow here. Most of North Carolina and part of South Carolina, right by the North Carolina border, is going to see rainfall of at least 24 inches. And I think the rainfall is honestly going to be more than that. This only goes up to 24 inches. All right, that's as high as it goes. So that is a very This is going to be very bad. This storm is going to bring the strong winds, floods, and all kinds of problems to this area. And most of the stores have already been wiped clean. People have been evacuated from these coastal areas, but I think there's going to be flooding inland too. That's going to be causing a lot of problems. Pretty much, if you evacuate and you're getting out of this area, my advice is to head. Just if you're going, go over here somewhere, all right, or head over to Virginia. But most of North Carolina, most of the state, the eastern half, just try to get out of it. And same thing with South Carolina. Try to get out of there too. These whole states here really are going to be, if it's not the wind, you're going to be dealing with the flooding. It's going to be a very bad situation. I want to see if there are any other more models we could look at here. I don't know. The HDRPS I know doesn't go that far out. I kind of want to look at that too. You could see the rainfall totals here as well. And I also want to look at let's see if this does the wind too, so we can look at the wind on this. It looks like it's a missing part of, it doesn't really show the whole wind field. You can see the resolution on this is a higher resolution. Let me look at the RGM too. Alright, we only have a little bit of that in, so let me look at the 18Z RGM. Just look at a few of these other models here and see. It's pretty much, that's the agreement on the track. Landfall in South Carolina, and then going landfall in North Carolina, and then South Carolina. So in the last part of this video, I'm going to go over the areas where this storm is going, and the areas that are going to most be at risk in Google Maps. Alright, I just want to show you the areas that are going to get hit here, some of the towns that are going to get hit. We're going to look at Google Maps just very briefly. Places like Morehead City, places like Wilmington, these areas here are going to be the first to get hit. And you also have the Outer Banks, that's Cape Hatteras, Kill Devil Hills. I think that the northern part of our Outer Banks probably will escape the worst of it, but these southern areas here are going to get creamed. All right, Morehead City is going to get hit very hard. Jacksonville, all these towns here you see, unfortunately, are going to have to deal with destruction on a disastrous scale. There's even a town named Florence. Look at that, and that's in South Carolina. These are the areas. So this general area right here, where you see, can't really draw anything here, but I don't have that set up. But all the general areas here, Raleigh might get away with not getting the worst of it. Same thing for Greensboro. So if you are evacuating, places like maybe Winston-Salem, Greensboro, would be good places to evacuate to. But this whole area along the coast here, right here, will see the worst of it. So I want to pray for everybody in these areas there that are going to be dealing with this. They need our thoughts and prayers while they're going to be going through this terrible natural disaster. And that's going to conclude it for this video. I'll try and get another update. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have one until tomorrow night. So again, the next update will probably be when it's close to making landfall. That's going to conclude this weather update on Florence. Take care.